Love it or hate it, the realm of post-launch content has become a scarily accepted norm in the modern-day racing game. It's a tricky subject, and an especially heated one as of late, due to certain modern releases making new definitions for what exactly content updates are. What this all has done, however, is shed a larger spotlight than ever on the severe downgrade and directional shift in how games have evolved, both being developed, launched, and after the fact. The blindingly obvious offender in all departments here would be Forza Horizon 5, though it is not at all the only game guilty of this. My goal with this video is to take a look at the difference in how post-launch content has changed over time, and in an effort to take a critical look in the hopes of encouraging discussion from all of those watching and the racing game community in general, in the hopes of getting a much clearer point out to the creative heads and game leads as to what their core fan bases are looking for, and help shape the future of the games that we love so much. With that being said, I feel the need to clarify that this video is not in any way encouraging bashing or going after developers, as I've seen so much of lately. We are critics, not children, and should be mature enough to take a critical approach without starting World War III over video game DLC. Now, let's start by going over the past 5 years of Horizon and how content has evolved. I've noticed a lot of those newer to the Horizon franchise have a hard time understanding the criticism thrown at Horizon 5 for recycling content from previous games, and in the efforts of showing those of you exactly why us veteran players have such a large issue with the current state of the series, let's turn back time to 2016 and Forza Horizon 3, the game in which I believe was the peak of Horizon content. Horizon 2 to 3 was a massive jump from the get-go. Just over 240 cars in Horizon 2 to over 350 in Horizon 3. Keep in mind though, that is just the car list at launch of both games. By the end of each game, Horizon 2 had 313 cars, and Horizon 3 ballooned to a whopping 524 vehicles. All of these vehicles added in post-launch were paid DLC packs, 6 or 7 cars at a time, about once a month. And every single car in those packs were all new to the series and never seen in a Forza game before. So you really got your money's worth. Now compare this to Horizon 4 to 5. Horizon 4 actually launched with a smaller car list than Horizon 3 finished up with around 450 cars. And Horizon 5, well, it launched with 500. This immediately is a definite downgrade, considering both games launched with a smaller car list than the third installment, something that was never seen before until Horizon 4. But things get much stranger when we look at things at the end of Horizon 4's life cycle. At the launch of Horizon 5, 4 had an eye-watering over 740 cars. And if things were to be like Horizon 2 to 3, you would expect that Horizon 5 was to launch with an even larger list than that. This was not the case. At least a quarter of Horizon 4's car list was cut, and that is just one of many issues. Earlier I mentioned how the cars added in DLC to Horizon 2 and 3 were, yes, paid DLC, but all were new cars never seen before in the series. Great mixes as well between not only all new cars, but some fan-requested older cars to boot. As an example here, the second ever DLC pack for Horizon 3 had the 2016 Aston Martin Vulcan, BMW M2, GTA Spano, and Pagani Huayra BC, all cars which came out the same year as Horizon 3, alongside the Crown Vic, Wrangler CJ5, and Lotus 340R for some highly requested older fan cars. This was the level of quality that would happen every single month. Looking to Horizon 5, the festival playlist is its own bag of rotten worms, but focusing on the cars, the average update is, well, you know the cars that were cut from FH4's final roster? Yeah, the vast majority of cars added in the playlist are from that pool. Now, something that gets brought up often is that this shouldn't be complained about because these content updates are no longer paid and instead are totally free. But here's the catch. We did not ask for the car packs to be removed. Car packs were taken away for Horizon 4, but something that most of the community, including myself, were unable to appreciate until recent events with 5, is the balance that Horizon 4 struck between both being free updates, but also including plenty of great new vehicles. Was there recycling prevalent? Yes, there was, and I am in no way defending that. But when you directly compare the number of, as Forza would like to call them, returning cars, you see an immediate difference. When we look at exclusively new to Forza cars, excluding vehicles from the car pass in both games and any other DLC, and looking at just the festival playlist during the first 14 months of both Horizon 4 and 5, the difference in numbers is shocking. Within the first 14 months, Horizon 4 had a grand total of 72 new to Forza cars. Divided by 14 months, it's obviously not possible, but for the sake of comparison, 5.1 new to Forza cars every month. Forza Horizon 5, however, in the same time frame, released 23 new to Forza vehicles, averaging out at 1.6 new to Forza cars per month. It should be clear by now why exactly those of us who have been playing these games for a long time have immediate suspicions as to what exactly is happening behind the scenes. There are many reasons being thrown around about why exactly this could be, licensing being the main culprit. Now, before I go and say that is or isn't the case, there's some more evidence to throw another wrench into the equation. During the Forza Horizon 10th anniversary, we had the Pagani Huayra, which was one of the vehicles cut for the launch of Horizon 5, proudly on display, full-fledged car model and everything. And because this is quite literally in front of the player in the public build of the game at the menu screen, I don't think manufacturers who said no to licensing a certain car would be very happy having an unlicensed car right up in your face. I'm no expert here, but that seems like a major copyright issue to me. There have also been cases of cars cut from Horizon 5 in literal in-game screenshots to use for the festival playlist. The base Aston Martin Vulcan, for example, right here. Again, this isn't just in the dev version of the game, this was fully out in public. Again, how is this not a licensing violation if they don't have the licenses for these cars? Now, that all aside, playing devil's advocate here and saying it is a licensing issue, what exactly changed in the past 4 years? Horizon 4 is still on sale and has all of these cut cars with active licenses, so you expect me to believe that in the 3 years of Horizon 5's development, the manufacturers somehow decided to say no, and that just so coincidentally happened to line up with the exact cars being added in the future of 5. And Forza during the 3 years of development of Horizon 5 didn't plan for that? If that's the case, Playground has to be the most unlucky studio on the planet to have tens of brands suddenly cut very specific cars that the community just so happens to love right before the launch of the game. Again, does that sound right to you? The only slightly tricky one here is Lancia and other members of Stellantis. We saw the Stratos in in-game promotional footage and saw the models for the Alfa Romeos in the game files. There was a rumor going around that Playground couldn't reach an agreement with Stellantis, yet Lancia and Alfa Romeo made it into Gran Turismo 7 and Grid Legends. Then there's the topic of how quickly, or in this case, not quickly, the latest models of cars get into this game. Apparently it's because Forza has to laser scan and get the most accurate sounds for each car. So, how exactly did they do that for the Mercedes AMG 1 and Lotus Evija, in which paid customers don't even have their cars yet in almost 2023, let alone when this game launched in 2021? Horizon 3 launched with the Lamborghini Aventador SV in 2016, the exact same year the car came out, yet Horizon 5 got the Aventador SVJ 3 years after that car debuted. Now yes, I know it's a mobile game, but how on earth does CSR2 manage to have the latest and greatest cars, and the largest racing game franchise in history can't even get close? CSR2 had the Pagani Utopia and G87 BMW M2 in the game within less than a week of those cars being revealed. There is so much I could say about Horizon, such as the expansions being so far behind the usual schedule, completely misleading update titles, and the fact that the game continues to be broken in new ways with every single update, but it isn't just Forza that's the offender here. Gran Turismo 7 exposes another major issue with how updates are being handled. Gran Turismo Sport gave us a few cars every month for free that were just added to Brand Central for purchase. I don't think anyone had issues with this. It was a great way to have players come back to the game after launch without that feeling of FOMO that Forza gives locking cars behind time. Gran Turismo 7, however, has the issue of having the base game, which is so barely improved on from Gran Turismo Sport, and on top of that doesn't do anything to improve on those same updates as Sport, meaning that everything feels exactly the same as Sport. And in fact, things have taken a downgrade. In one of the most recent updates, the Nissan GT-R GT3 from 2013, which was in Gran Turismo 6, was added back in as a new car. Please, Polyphony, don't let this be a sign of things to come. Updates in GT7 were also intended to be almost a way to continually improve the game over time, which is something that truly gets under my skin. Too many games these days purposely leave a game at launch barren and lacking in features just to over time bring back the player interest when the concurrent player number stoops too low. There's a massive difference between genuinely good content over time to keep your core fanbase intrigued and purposely developing your game to be held back just to fix it later. What happened to the days where a game could launch and be fun enough to not need DLC to be fun, and the players would return to the game on their own volition? I'm slightly concerned by how Need for Speed Unbound will be affected by this. Heat didn't have much post-launch content at all, and in all honesty, I didn't mind. Why? because Heat was a genuine improvement on Payback, and to me, had more than enough in it to justify its price tag, and in a way, not having DLC saved them from any potential negativity from horrible updates. Unbound, however, among some other issues which I'll cover in a separate video, has the glaringly obvious fact that the car list is ripped straight from Need for Speed Heat, with only around 9 new vehicles added in at launch. Yeah, that's about the size of a single Horizon 3 DLC pack for an entire new game. You know what happened the last time Need for Speed switched developers? We went from Most Wanted 2012 to Rivals. Those games having car lists which were entirely different from each other, and were completely built from the ground up. Need for Speed Rivals had 27 entirely new cars to the series in a game that was made from the ground up on, I believe, a new engine, and in a single year from Most Wanted's release. And keep in mind, those 27 cars are not including repeat cars from Hot Pursuit 2010, or even any of the DLC from Rivals. Unbound, having a 3-year development cycle, developed on the same Frostbite engine as Heat, and only having 9 new cars, just seems a little disappointing. I'm not making any accusations here, but I'm worried that Unbound might take a little too much inspiration from its competitors here, and is holding it back for the coming years. But time will only tell. I've said a lot in this video, so let me summarize quickly. It's clear and evident to anyone that racing games have changed a lot over the past years. That's undeniable. And the reason for this approach is something that we may never get an answer for. Is it due to studio leads not having a good idea of what their fanbase wants? Is it the bigwigs wanting to extend their game's lifecycle as long as possible? Or is it companies royally screwing the developers over? If it was the latter, due to the very obvious concern and questioning from the community, it would be in the best interest of everyone if there was more communication. For example, Playground stating before the launch of Horizon 5 that, hey, there were very specific cars cut from the game that we are working on getting back as soon as possible. And then once those licenses were all reinstated, they should have just put those cars in the game, not mention anything, because again, they were in the last game. Adding them in as new content and bragging about them makes themselves look really bad. This would easily communicate the fact that this is not just cut content, and that there was in fact genuine issues behind the scenes. The clear silence in the face of the fanbase's criticism is making them look worse and worse, as they pretend that nothing is happening and the game is all hunky-dory and better than ever in each Let's Go stream. I would love to start some good conversation in the comments of this video. If you have anything you'd like to say in regards to what I've said, or add anything of your own, I would love to have some great discussions with those of you in the comments. And I know that YouTube comments end up war zones, but for the sake of encouraging genuine, helpful communication to those in charge of these series, let's do our best to be as cooperative as possible. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more, leaving a like on the video helps out tremendously, and a subscription will guarantee that you don't miss a future upload. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.